Are you ready for some smart, plain talk on politics, Israel, and the law? It's the Andrew Parker Show. Let's roll. Welcome to another episode of the Andrew Parker Show. This is episode number 408 as we talk about open season on the Jews. It is a difficult time, and whenever you turn on the TV, there is another story about an attack against the single and only Jewish state in the world, the state of Israel, or an attack on Jews somewhere else in the world. It has become nearly a daily occurrence, and some of the worst acts are occurring since October 7th. The victims, the Jews on October 7th, the Israelis on October 7th, who are the victims of some of the most heinous acts witnessed by humanity since the Nazis in World War II. And you would think that the world would rally around civility and the destruction of that evil, but that has not happened. In fact, there has been pressure to allow that evil to continue in power, to continue in ideology. There has not been, as my last episode discussed, unconditional surrender that the world has pushed for, but again, rather a ceasefire, allowing Hamas to live, allowing its thoughts to continue, thought of destruction of the state of Israel, of the United States, and of all Jews in the world. Since October 7th, synagogues have been set on fire throughout the world in amazing numbers, horrifically. October 17th of that year in Tunisia, October 18th in Germany, November 8th in Canada. These are all dates on which synagogues were set on fire around the world. Also in November in Armenia and in Lakewood, New Jersey, here in the United States in November of that year. In February in Tunisia, in April in Germany again, in April in Russia and Moscow. In March, in Poland, in Warsaw. In May of the following year, in France. Again in May, in Canada, again. In August, in France. In December, in Australia. In December, in Canada. In December, in Ukraine. And then this year, in January, in Australia, and then in July again in Australia, those two in Sydney and in Melbourne. Again, these are all dates and locations where synagogues were set on fire since October 7th. It's just one of the examples of how it is open season on Jews. The marching and the protests and what has become normalized in our lexicon, in our speech, and acceptable as political ideology is the hatred toward Jews. A hatred uniquely sheltered and protected in use against the state of Israel. So you wonder why. How's that possible? How is it that when Jews are the victims of what occurred on October 7th, which I won't go over and repeat again, but it was uh, the worst. In fact, worse than you could dream of. Worse than you could conjure up. It was horrific as innocent babies, mothers, grandparents, teenagers, 20-somethings murdered or taken hostage. And there's pushback on allowing the total destruction of this evil, of allowing destruction to the point of unconditional surrender. Bibi Netanyahu was in the United States this week, and he made clear that the war in Gaza will end when, quote, Hamas lays down its weapons and Gaza is demilitarized and Hamas no longer has any governmental or military capabilities. Close quote. Those are the fundamental conditions. And that is effectively an unconditional surrender. Is Donald Trump going to stand by that? Is he going to stand by in support of Israel until those things occur? Or is he going to allow Hamas to survive? Well, we'll see. Iran has been allowed to continue despite the brutal takeover by the regime, the mullahs, in 1979, and becoming the largest state sponsor of terrorism anywhere in the world, bar none, since 1979. And no one until recently has done much about it. Oh, yes, there have been sanctions. There have been various regiments of sanctions put on the Islamic Republic. But they have continued over the decades to cause death and destruction everywhere in the Middle East, to prevent peace in the Middle East. When things might get close to peace, to launch attacks to defeat peace. They have done it consistently. Saudi Arabia is just one example when it was getting close to signing a peace deal with Israel. Now, when I talk about Iran, I include its proxies, of course, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. All of that evil combined needs to be excised, needs to be removed from the Middle East. Opportunity after opportunity has been provided in order to change these views of the mullahs to become a part of the civilized world. But they don't want that. That runs counter to their understanding of Islam. And they don't want peace. They want armed struggle. They want armed conflict until the caliphate is reestablished. This has been consistently reported. It has been consistently determined, and through statements, certainly directly from the leadership of Iran. So, with these enemies in the region and with it being open season on Jews, where you would think that those would push back and put out the flame of anti Semitism stoked by the Iranians, no, that hasn't happened. In fact, it has been unbelievable the number of people that have come to support these sorts of anti Semitic actions and statements. You find it on college campuses, in the academic ranks of teachers, professors, tenured or otherwise. You find it in students and in protest groups that are highly funded by Middle East countries and others who agree with and support the destruction of the state of Israel and the Jewish people. It's not overstating it at all. And it has come to the point where there is even support, because there's political support in the United States for these views, unfortunately. You have members who are elected to Congress who provide aid and comfort to these ideas. Representative Ilhan Omar and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, one on the left, the other on the right, are both working to cut off missile defense funding for Israel. Missile defense funding. Israel has, this is not used as offensive weapons. These are used to protect innocents from getting bombed, from being hit by rockets, which we have seen in the thousands being fired at the small Jewish state. Each, Omar and Green, proposed the same legislation which would weaken America, weaken our use and the idea of creating a golden dome here, hurt the state of Israel by cutting off funding for joint U.S.-Israel missile defense cooperation, which are life-saving programs. But Omar and Green, giving oxygen to the Iranians, certainly, and the other enemies that align with the Iranians. I would put Qatar in that category. Are pushing to cut off this joint effort of protection. It's amazing. Now, there are many more in the Democratic Party that are in line with that. There's maybe one other than Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Republican Party, or at least in Congress within the Republican caucus. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Are you a business owner? Are you losing sleep because you feel your partner isn't carrying their weight, or because you no longer share the same vision or values? Are you no longer comfortable going into your own office? Are you walking on eggshells in the company you built? This is Chris Daniels, founding partner of Parker Daniels Keyboard LLC, a premier litigation law firm headquartered in downtown Minneapolis. For more than 30 years, I've specialized in business litigation and have helped hundreds of business owners resolve troubling business disputes. As a former certified public accountant, I get to the heart of the dispute, including financial issues. Business divorce can be messy, time-consuming, and costly, but doing nothing can cost you a lot more. Not just money, but emotionally, physically, and in your personal life. If you and your business partner no longer see eye to eye and you're eager to take a proactive approach and make a change, please call me at 612-355-4100 and schedule a consultation. Or visit our website at www.parkerdk.com.
Are you a high-income earner or a business owner looking to secure your financial future? At True North Private Investments, they focus on helping you break free from the limitations of traditional investments. Diversify your portfolio with private equity, real estate, and credit opportunities built to thrive in any market condition. Plus, their tailored tax strategies are designed to help you keep more of what you've earned. Your success deserves a smarter approach. Choose True North to grow, protect, and optimize your wealth. Call them today at 619-455-0275 or visit investtruenorth.com. Another story as it relates to Israel and what it's doing vis-a-vis Iran. Statements coming out of Israel, such as, if we have to return to Iran, we will do so, and we will do so with greater force. That's generally the policy, at least that's being expressed in the state of Israel. There are some reports that say that Iran's enriched uranium may have survived, some of it. And it may be buried under the rubble. That's another point as to why we must stay vigilant vis-a-vis making sure that Iran and the leadership in Iran does not think they have a way out. They must change their ways, which I suggest is a near impossibility. I don't think it's ever going to happen, which means there needs to be a change in the leadership in Iran. It was illegal and improper how they took control of the country in the first place, of course. As a part of Jews being attacked, you may or may not have heard, because it was not widely reported, that a 22-year-old Israeli was killed in a shooting, stabbing terror attack this week. And the two Palestinian terrorists were Palestinian Authority's police force members, recently having completed their training in Qatar. The 22-year-old Israeli who was murdered was not doing anything. He didn't violate anything. He wasn't taking any action which would warrant any direction verbally, and certainly nothing physical against him. There was no dispute. He was attacked viciously by these terrorists and murdered. And then the Palestinian Authority. Now, this is the moderate group that the Palestinians have decided are their leaders. You have Hamas, that the Palestinians in Gaza decided would be their leaders. Now, people will dispute that with me and say they didn't have a choice. This despotic, tyrannical group took over, and, well, they were elected in 2006 into office, and Hamas was embraced. Now, those who may have opposed them and wanted to engage in a coup against them may have been destroyed by Hamas. And Hamas continues to do that today. Anyone who opposes them does so at their own peril, for sure. But the Palestinian Authority is supposed to be the moderate camp. Well, these two were police officers of the Palestinian Authority. So you would think the Palestinian Authority would distance themselves from these two, right? No, that's not us. That's not what we're about. We don't murder 22-year-old Jews in the street. No, the Palestinian Authority released posters glorifying the two terrorists. And the families of the two terrorists who were shot dead soon after the killing of the 22-year-old Jewish man, the families of these two terrorists will now be eligible to receive money under the Pay for Slay program that continues in place by the Palestinian Authority. It is open season on Jews, and we are standing by doing nothing about it. We need to demand that the Palestinian Authority end Pay for Slay. Yes, legislation has been passed here in the United States about that. Opposing it vigorously. But it continues. And we continue to give money to the Palestinian Authority, although Donald Trump has stopped that. But Joe Biden certainly did. And of course, decisions made in Iran are even far worse. And Joe Biden gave a lot of money to Iran as well, billions. Of course, Obama was the king of money to Iran, $150 billion through the JCPOA, the Iran deal. So the Palestinian Authority, the successor to the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO. The PLO was created in 1964 to liberate Palestine through armed struggle. That is what their creation documents state. To liberate Palestine through armed struggle. This was not some peace group that was trying to make peace with the Israelis and live side by side in peace, and it never has been. You remember Munich, where all, I believe, 11 Israeli team members were murdered in cold blood by the PLO. And what was it, the Palestine Liberation Organization? What were they trying to liberate them from? 1967 hadn't occurred yet. There's the claim that, well, the Israelis took all this land. No, the Israelis would not have been in that war at all, but for the Arab nations arraying against it on all sides. And Israel did survive, and it now has land to protect itself. And if it didn't, it wouldn't exist. But the PLO was created to drive the Jews out of every corner of Israel. And that can't be forgotten. And it's now the Palestinian Authority. And the Palestinian Authority issued posters glorifying these two terrorists who killed an innocent 22-year-old Israeli man. These police officers for the Palestinian Authority, glorifying them and giving their family, now eligible, for money under the Pay for Slay program. It's open season. I'm telling you. I don't have to get into, those firebomb by the Muslim in Colorado, or those two kids who were killed in our nation's capital in cold blood. by, somebody who you would think if there's a debate or dispute, he doesn't have a dog in this fight. No, I mean, yeah, but rhetoric and hate can be spread to all corners and result in real tragedy. We must stop it here in the United States. Black lives matter. Jewish lives matter. And if these sorts of killings, the sort of arson in synagogues that I read earlier, sort of attacks being made in the classroom against Israel, against the Jews, attacks on college campuses against Jews continue, there's going to be more death and destruction. And we don't want that. We want peace. And on the previous episode, I talked about how there can be peace. And it may well be that we're closer to peace than we have been in decades. That's what I believe. I really do. That can change. But that's what I am seeing today, as I believe peace deals are going to start to flow, and they will flow upon the end or the neutering of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is a foundational source of depriving us of peace in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia, Syria, Lebanon, other Gulf states in the Arab world, Sudan, other states in Africa will want to do trade deals with Israel, will want to do peace deals with Israel. And it can happen. And it will isolate those who continue to want armed struggle, armed conflict, who continue to want to export terrorism. It will prevent them from interfering. It'll isolate them, and they will then come to the table. It's possible. Let's see what happens. And as I just have to keep reminding everyone of, what it is that we need to do to make sure that there is good, that there is peace, that there is freedom around the world. Not accepting evil, not accepting those that reject these foundational principles. What do we need? Indeed. It's the Andrew Parker Show. Thank you once again for joining me. And, I'll tell you that I am having a great time putting on episode upon episode upon episode, talking about the issues of the day with you, fielding your questions, your text messages, your emails. And by the way, text us at 952-522-2818. We will get to your texts. We will respond to your texts. We have had some wonderful questions and responses and disagreements with what I have to say. Let's have that debate, no doubt. Upcoming episodes, we're going to have Senator Rudy Boschwitz on the Andrew Parker Show upcoming, as well as the Consul General from the State of Israel, speaking for the Israeli government, will be on the Andrew Parker Show coming up in the next couple of weeks. Hope to have Norm Coleman, as I mentioned before, on the show as well, and I expect that will happen soon. So a lot to be excited about. Go to theandrewparkershow.com. Like us, follow us, subscribe, do it all. Get on social media and add to the conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, be kind to your neighbor. For more Smart Plain Talk, go to theandrewparkershow.com. Learn about all of your listening and viewing options. And remember, all the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, hope. This episode of The Andrew Parker Show is sponsored by Parker Daniels Keyboard and True North Private Investments. Mark Twain once quipped, "A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. When you are lied about and it spreads, the resulting mayhem and destruction can be, and often is, disastrous." Hi, this is Andrew Parker, co-founder of the Parker Daniels Keyboard Law Firm. I recently handled a high-profile defamation lawsuit on behalf of a luxury home real estate agent whose business was decimated by falsehoods spread about him. After nearly 2 years of litigation and 2 weeks of trial, the jury came back with a verdict of more than $2 million for our client. Parker Daniels Keyboard. We litigate cases, we try cases, and we win cases. With a record of excellence in achieving extraordinary results, Parker Daniels Keyboard lawyers have consistently won huge verdicts for its clients in the areas of defamation, civil rights violations, regulatory battles, and intellectual property theft. For wise counsel and winning results, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard, premier law firm in downtown Minneapolis. Looking to grow your wealth with exclusive opportunities? At True North Private Investments, they focus on alternative investments designed for forward-thinking individuals just like you. Explore private equity, private real estate, and private credit opportunities that go beyond traditional markets. And it doesn't stop there. Their experts craft unique tax strategies to help maximize your returns and minimize your federal and state tax liabilities. Your future deserves innovation. Your portfolio deserves True North. Call them today at 619-455-0275 or visit investtruenorth.com to get started.